Jared, the Roofing Revenue Group. Just got home. It is 10 o'clock at night from a long day. On my way home, I was thinking about referrals, generating referrals. You know, as a young salespeople get into this industry, it's really difficult for them to be able to truly appreciate how important referrals are for the sales pipeline. You know, I used to just ask for referrals, but I didn't understand exactly what the psychology was behind it. You know, why would somebody refer just because you're doing their roof or their project shouldn't necessarily make them feel inclined to get their neighbor involved in the process, or their parents or their family and friends, you know? So it has to be a gradual process. One of the ways is to ask the property owner that you're working with, that you're doing their roof for, ask them if while they're at work, you know, to keep their eyes and ears open for people that might be talking about construction projects. Maybe they even bring up the fact that they're getting a roof. I mean, it is kind of a big deal to be getting such a substantial amount of work. You know, this stuff does not cost a small amount of money. And so they're liable to talk about it with their friends, family, people at their workplace, and ask around about, you know, at that point, sometimes, you know, you got to be careful because they might also get involved with competition who are also trying to generate referrals. So the more you can get ahead of that, the better it's going to be for you. Because people, when you ask them once, oftentimes they will not be prone to helping or to be involved in the process. Another thing I've noticed over the years is that they're not as incentivized as you might feel like. That just because you're offering, maybe it's $200 or $250 for a referral, you know, they're not necessarily, that doesn't translate over to the same way that you do as a salesperson. They might be thinking, this guy's gonna pay me, how much money is being made in roofing, versus you're thinking of it as cost of doing business or generating a lead. So being able to set up group texts is something that I've noticed is a really beneficial process. And the way that I go about doing that's been very helpful is I'll drop kind of a hint that I'm going to be asking for referrals. And this also is eligible for, this applies to your Google reviews. And when you ask them just one time, it's likely not to happen. So ask them at the first meeting after you get the deal, then at the adjuster appointment, or when you're going to sign the contract, you're just saying, you know, we're going to get with you about getting referrals. I'll ask them a very simple question that helps a lot. How close are you with your neighbor? Or do you and your neighbor get along? And they'll say, generally, yeah. And I'll ask what their name is. I'll go out, put it in my phone notepad, say Jim's neighbor is Bob, and you know, they had a barbecue 2 weekends ago that they were together, they were grilling hamburgers. Maybe that's just a mental note, or even a note that I put in my phone or in my CRM or whatever it is that you use, so that when you go knock on Bob's door and say, hey, I know that you were, you know, pretty close with Jim. I mean, close enough that, right? He said that y'all was having a barbecue together out by the pool. That he talked to you about the fact that he's getting his roof done. And this is going to be an experience that person can actually relate back to, that says, I know that he is telling me the truth, that he is working with my neighbor Jim, because I did have a barbecue with him just a couple of days ago or weeks ago, whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, setting up group text messages. So I'll ask customers, will you start a group thread with me and you and maybe whoever it is that you might have talked to at work that's interested in getting a roof? I mean, just by saying, give them my card, that's not going to work. But saying, would you set up a group text, or ask them to set up a group text? And then that way you've got Jim and Bob is in the group text, and you say, hey, Bob, I'll be over at Jim's on Saturday morning. I'll stop by and look at your roof. I'll talk to you more about that. So these are just some quick tips that we've learned along the way as Roofing Revenue Group. More sales, more approvals, and improving profits.